Firstly, I just want to preface the talk by saying that we are in fact on Indigenous land, and partly some of those issues of intercultural dialogue are things which come out, which I've been trying to address in this exhibition as well. Okay, so the exhibition is called Fortress, and for the last, well, probably for the last 10 years, I've been working with ideas of history. I've been working with my family. I've been working with different types of archives and also the history of photography. The exhibition comes about as a result of thinking about ways in which you record and you also make history. So how do you articulate a story of a place or a story of different types of people within the framework of a location which also has its own history. So it's these ideas of stories inside stories and histories and inside histories. And these interfaces aren't always celebratory. They're not always easily articulated. Often that they're based on experiences of trauma and also experiences of marginalisation. Maybe it's just easier for me to talk about the individual works, and through that maybe you'll get an understanding of what I mean by a fortress. So the first work that we kind of stumble across in the exhibition are these bricks here, and the bricks are in a way that they're photographic because they're plaster casts of bricks which I found in my grandparents' backyard. They're made out of plaster, and embedded in them through a layer of silicone is hair that I've been collecting from all of my family. So for the last year, every time that they get a haircut, I've asked them to hand over their hair. And then opposite that work is another work which I filmed using my family, or using my brothers and my grandparents as subject. I set up the camera, I sat them down, and I asked them to smile for as long as they could. And the reason being is that I wanted to see, and I wanted them to kind of experience that moment when a smile turns into something that which is no longer a smile, when it turns into a grimace and when it actually becomes quite painful. In about 2001 and through to about 2004, I began using my father's photo album and rephotographing it and turning images which he had in his album into really small photographs using a 19th century photographic process called salt printing. So it was one of the very early experiments which Talbot was making. The interaction of silver nitrate with sodium chloride, so just table salt, to create images which turned into photography. What I like about the reason why I chose these images is because I think that there's a double play that occurs with them. Originally they were photographs of a Chinese New Year festival in Lae in Papua New Guinea. But then by that process of rephotographing, they almost turn into big crowd scenes that could also maybe be like a riot. I mean, they have that kind of anxiety, I think. The other work, which is here to the right, is a work which I made with a friend of mine, Lieven de Burk, who's a Belgian artist. And a couple of years ago, we had an opportunity to work together and exhibit together in a place in Holland called Breda. And when we went to the Netherlands, we were kind of both interested in how to deal with a historical narrative. How would you write one? Because the reason why we began asking that question in that particular place is because Breda there's a very important treaty that takes the name of that city, and the treaty is called the Treaty of Breda. And it was the treaty which swapped the Spice Islands for Manhattan. So in the I think it was in the 1650s. It was during at the beginning of the spice trade, and in a way, it's kind of the beginning of globalization. So we began thinking, well, how would you write a historical narrative? And what we did was we turned a piece of fiction into an artwork. We found a copy of Gabriel Garcia Marquez's 100 Years of Solitude, turned it into papier-mâché, and made one big rope that went across the entrance of the exhibition, so you actually had to step under the rope in order to enter into it. Then the other works, which are also new works, are the daguerreotypes. And they've been installed in a way, there's just one work on one wall, and facing off each other and back to back, because I wanted to create this sense that when you were looking at these daguerreotypes, that you're also looking at them within a very small confined space. The images are photographs of my own body, which I've reconnected in impossible ways. So the first two are my finger joining to my finger. There's another one where my hand is joining to my hand, my foot's joining to my foot, and my head is kind of split in four and then reassembled. Behind that work on the other walls are three examples of a writing project that I've developed over the last maybe 3 or 4 years. One of the other archives which I'm working with is a collection of spam email, and the thing that I like about the thing that I like about the spam that I collect is that it uses language in really subversive ways to get around people's spam filters. And what I've done with this collection is I turn it into a writing project. I get really big sheets of rice paper, and then I'll just sit down and rewrite these things out. The material which I use is silver nitrate, and so that these works are also photographic. And silver nitrate is one of the core chemicals in all black and white photography. And so what happens, it's like writing with water. Silver nitrate is colorless. You write with it, and then as the chemicals dry, they begin to record the light environment around you, so that they'll begin to turn into brown, and then over time they'll turn black and sometimes a bit crusty. The other work, the video work, is again, it was made with my family, and it's like a portrait of my grandparents' backyard, and it's a place where we spent a lot of time as kids, and where we continue to spend a lot of time. And in it, I've used them all as subjects, but I don't want to reveal their faces. I don't want people to have that one-on-one experience of them. I actually only want you to be able to experience the back of them, or experience not to be able to identify who they are. I wanted to get a sense that the people were also monolithic within the garden as well. It's just this kind of meandering portrait of what's going, just of the backyard, of the plants, of some of the fruit trees which I like.